All right. Recording some progress.
So who is it? Connor, Julia, and Kaya? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You guys should tell your friends about this class. We're about to do a big email blast. And so all these, all people always join after the big email blast. It is what it is. So I like the small classes, but I make more money when there's bigger classes. Okay, I'm scared. I'm a little scared. I'm going to establish the bottom and the top. It looks like I'm going to have to make mine a little bit smaller, which I'm okay with. Okay, so I've got the top, I got the bottom, and I'm sketching off of the screen, not sketching off of my angle. My angle is like kind of completely different. So I'm going to try and do it the way you guys are. In theory, I should put a center line into my drawing so that I can link up, this little nub at this end, which is kind of more, I feel like it's a triangle plus a trapezoid. When I say triangle plus a trapezoid, I mean like it's a triangle tip and then it's got like a trapezoidal base. They're at different angles, different vectors. In fact, the trapezoidal base might come out even like significantly further. And then it widens out. And then it turns into like, the body of the fruit, where you can kind of start to, you can even use some curved lines. Oh, that's interesting. There's a little, I'm noticing that there's like a, oh man, I bumped it. Sorry. There's a highlight like right here, like the lightest part are these reflections. It's coming off the window. Let's see if it's coming from the window. I think it is. If I turn this down, oh no, it's coming from my lamp. Wow, look at that. This is my color adjusting lamp. The brighter the better, it seems, on the screen. I was just noticing that there's a kind of a clear shadow portion of the like a deep shadow on the underplane, all underneath here. We'll get to tone some stuff. All right, if I run that center line across, without both ends, there's like this trapezoidal end here, trapezoidal end there. Without those two things, the fruit itself, I believe, is wider than it is tall. So it's interesting too, because there's there's like drawing what we know are lemons. When if you were to go to like look at the label or like buy lemonade, what the lemon looks like on the lemonade can is similar, but it's also different from what we're observing. And what we're observing, it's like almost like so complex that like everything that I previously knew about the lemon, it's weird. It's like it's not helpful. There is I think this is where it was attached to the tree. Yes, this is like what's left over of the stem. And I don't know if it's because of how they harvest the lemons from the tree, or whether they're just, the stems are just not very long. I've never seen like a lemon with a long stem the way you would like an apple. I had not mentioned it, but I'll bring it up now because I'm in need of it. Connor, when we were doing that still life in class, drawing with the tortillon was really helpful. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm drawing with the tortillon. Drawing, you can apply tone, with a pencil, and then it kind of scrapes on the paper, and it, leaves a little bit of it leaves, marks that may not blend out. By putting a little, like almost like a palette of pigment on the side, and then you can use your blending stump, then you can kind of like, okay, I'm going to draw this shadow, but I'm going to draw it not with my sharp a harsh pencil, but I'm going to do it with my dull tone applicator, which is the Tortillion. And drawing with the tone, and the graphite pencil, especially these big pencils that I like to use, they really do blend out for the most part. Sometimes the lead is too hard. Sometimes the like if you're using charcoal, the particles get so deep into the paper that you just can't lift. You just can't lift the pigment out. All right, let me move this up. I promise I'll move back in 1 second. I just want to make sure I have enough real estate for my cast shadow. And this is kind of nice. So we have the shadow part of the lemon. We have our silhouetted edge. We can even put some of these, like the fun details with, the highlight up here. I'm going to put some specks there that might change. And then there's this oval telling us that the location and the barcode of this lemon. The lemon's from Chile, I guess. And then what I think is exciting, the light source, if I do a light source up here, just an object, the light's coming from the top left. So it's throwing its shadow, kind of towards us. And it's making a completely different shape, and it's distorting the actual lemon, which is neat if you're an art nerd like me. So I'm still drawing what I know. So like this rounded part up here, it leads into this little tip, the stubby end. I can do the top of that curve, and then I'm actually drawing the shadow and naming what it is. So there's like this tier system. There's like the top triangle, then it depths down and out to the base, and then from the base it goes down into the fruit. That's sort of what the shadow is doing too. So you got the flat end, it steps down, then it comes out a little bit, then it steps down again, and it comes out, enters into the round part of the fruit. It's thrown because the light source is, up and to the right, it's coming from this area. Let's put the light, like this. This is coming from up there. The shadow really is longer, and it's to the right side. So the shadow on the right side is actually shorter. So watch this. You have the stumpy end, you have the little stem, and then you have the shoulder, or where where it widens out into the fruit. And then the whole angle system is distorted. So it doesn't look, if you were to remove the fruit, I think, and just look at the shadow, it might be difficult to say what kind of fruit it actually is. Good. The other interesting thing to notice about the two things to notice about the shadow. Yes, the shadow is, it's a dark, it's blocking the light. So the paper is light, the shadow is dark. But interesting fact, all of the shadow up against the right side of the lemon is actually lighter, and then the shadow is darker. This is on the right side where I'm shading right here. And then somewhere about the middle, it switches. When I say it switches, I mean the lemon becomes darker. And then even though the shadow is a shadow, the shadow is just not as dark as the lemon. So we have to figure out how to make the lemon dark, but just not as dark as the shadow. So I'm going to do what's called adding a halo. So I'm going to make sure that my pigment is lighter, and then I'm going to blend that in and say a prayer that I didn't put too much down, so that the lemon is still darker. So I did a light halo in the shadow on that side, and now I'm doing a dark halo on this side. The closer the shadow is to the object, the darker it's going to be, and so is the crisper the edge. If you were to check out the line that is created by the shadow, it's not that it's so crisp on the right side, it's just that it's so diffused on the left side. See how far away that is? Like the edge of it is all soft. That's because it's out of focus basically. And there's a lot of light pouring in. So the shadow edge gets a little lighter, and then the edge gets also more diffused. So you kind of have to like force the line that you used. You either have to erase it completely and replace it, or you have to blend it out. It's like I might do a combination of those two things. And the shadow, they call it a shadow shape because it is very it's flat. It's a shape that's on a flat table. Little sidebar tip to blending. I usually, if I'm gonna like make pigment marks this way, I make it at a 45-degree angle because it's natural for my right hand. My right hand moves like this. If you're left-handed, your shading marks would go perpendicular to that. So it's not natural for me because I'm not left-handed, but I'm using my left hand here to apply pigment. Either way, whether you lay it in at a diagonal running in this direction or the other direction, you blend it coming across the form, kind of like in circles, circular motion across, evenly distributing the pigment into the spaces where there were no lines. If you lay in pigment, you're making like a series of stripes. So then you're blending the stripes together across the whole. And if some of it stays, some of it stays. Come on, focus. There it goes. Yes. Okay, so everything that's underneath, everything that's underneath the lemon is going to be toned. And everything that's above it is going to be a little bit lighter. So now the question is, how are you going to make the lemon feel like a lemon as a texture? I'm trying to get it to the camera to focus on this label. There it goes. Nice. Look at that. Okay. That's great. Okay. So the look of the lemon is that it's got these little pores. And it looks like there's pores that are like kind of dark in the center. So they're like these little dots. Sometimes it's the outside. Sometimes it's the center that's light and it's the outside that's dark. All right. So I've got this epic label. And the lemon is toned underneath that. I might even write lemon. When all else fails, you can just label it. Barcode. Label. And then I was kind of onto it. I was onto something when I was trying to make these little stippling, like little dots. But I really wasn't in well, I guess I was going to say they do occur underneath in the shadow. The stippling might be a huge component to this one. I'm not seeing them up on the edges, maybe because that's how it's focused, but I am really picking them up a lot in the, maybe the whole thing is really smooth with the tones. And then I'll smooth it out with the tone, and then I'll try to get look at that edge. If you look at the edge of the lemon up against the background, it changes everywhere. The edge is really dark on the shadow side. and it's really soft up on this edge. So in the top right-hand corner, I think that line is way too dark. I put it there as a placeholder, but it's just very low contrast. By lightening that, it feels more natural. And then by darkening the silhouette that's on the bottom, correct the, you can say what you want about your, the proportions of your lemon. That's a different discussion. So your lemon might have different proportions. It's okay. As long as it has the normal lemon attributes, you're going to be fine. I'm just looking at the, the edges here, and, at the both ends, the line that describes the outside is very bold, in some, what seemingly really important areas. And that's called, it's called punching your darks, where you squint your eyes and you look at where some of the darkest areas are. Squint your eyes, look and see where some of the lighter areas are. And you just start to assess your line work and adjust it accordingly. I just can't even believe how I was like, something's really wrong here. And it had to do with this aggressive line along the top. So my drawing is a little bit out of focus, which I'm actually happy with right now. So you all can see the lemon better. It's better that you guys can see the lemon and not my drawing. And I may increase some of these tones in the dark part of the shadow, pull some of these shadows across the bottom, and then crisp up the edge of the lemon, not by drawing the edge of the lemon, but drawing the shadow up against the lemon. That takes a little, it's not like it's mind-blowing, but initially when you start drawing, you draw like a silhouette line around an object, and you're just instantly saying, okay, that line represents the object, the edge of the object. Well, sometimes that line gets diffused, and I really, when that line at the bottom of this lemon really was representing the shadow. And so I'm diffusing that information, that line information, into the shadow, kind of where it belongs. And I'm saying it belongs there based on what I'm observing. You can go around the entire lemon and see where the line is light or dark. Wow, there's like this, because there are two light sources, and that's what's kind of neat. I was expecting to see a double shadow when I first did this, because the sun is setting outside my window, and it is bringing in a lot of extra light. And see how this is like a different color. It's like a reddish. So this is like a deep blue, because it's coming from a warm light source. If there's a warm light source, the shadow goes cold. If it's a cool light source, the shadow goes warm. And that's the main difference between artificial light and natural light. Natural light is a cool light, making shadows warmer, and then artificial light is a warm light, making the shadows cooler. And if you see here, there's this little bit of a red glow, and that is from the window. There's window light coming in and illuminating that part. And you can actually see that there's a little bit of an internal edge where that would be the shadow if I put the light off. And it's so that when you start to sketch and you look into the shadows and look at the nature of a shadow through sketching it, it becomes very interesting. Okay, I don't want to spend all day on one lemon, for crying out loud, but I do want to add a couple more stipples. I was teaching this to my other class. In order to do equal stippling, so stippling is when you put dots, and a lot of times when you do dots, people put them like in a row, like they don't mean to, but like they put order in it. So I do dots in spirals. So I move spirals around, and I'll show you what I mean. So these are like, I don't literally draw spirals, but I do dots in a spiral formation. And if you do dots in a spiral formation by each mark trying to be a circle, you don't want it to be like a skid mark, like it's skipping off across the water. Like those directional marks don't help. So they have to be perfectly round. And then you go in a circular motion and you're constantly looking for open spaces because you don't want the dots to cluster too regularly or in areas. So you're kind of spiraling and looking for open areas. And then just by doing that activity, you will eventually, without too much time and not too much effort, you will have evenly spaced out dots all over the thing. So let me like just kind of put that into action right here. And then this will be kind of like the last thing that we do. So you would be surprised how quickly you can stipple things, especially when you use the method I just spoke of. If you just get impatient and you just start putting dot, 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 it looks so messy, it looks so bad, and it destroys any work that you did up until that point. So if you keep this stippling technique in the back of your mind, and I'm able to go darker with the stipple in the shadows because it's not as high a contrast. So I will, when I do stippling up in the lighter part, I'll make those dots lighter. I'm going to use them at the same regularity, the same frequency, so that it feels like they're universal stipples all over the lemon. Nice. And if you're in an area and you're like, oh, I could add a little bit more tone, add a little more tone. I think you can get so good at it that it feels like you're just putting dots everywhere, but you have an order to your operation. And the dots might get more frequent towards the edge because it's turning. So you're actually in the same distance, you're getting more real estate. Hopefully that makes sense. As things turn, they become condensed, in the foreshortening. So maybe the dots towards the middle will be the most spaced out, and then towards the silhouette, they'll be most condensed. And this is just my solution. I'm sure you can Google lemon drawings and find thousands of other methods. This is just for fun. Oh man, I like it. Is there anything I could do to improve it? Okay, oops, sorry. I'm doing like a little recap up here, and I think there is some more tone on that side. It really goes, really not a lot of light in that corner. Lemon. Here's the barcode. All right, any thoughts? That's not bad. I've done worse art before. Anybody want to show? Miss Foley, Connor, Kai?
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop the share. Yeah, those colors rule. I mean, did you have a color called lemon yellow? I think I did. Not that one. This is
Just
yellow.
called yellow. Yellow.
Perfect. All right, let's see yours, Connor. That is looking good. Low contrast, but that's your style. Cool. This is gonna be a nice page. Kai, you want to show your magical wonder lemon? I just put that in front of it. It doesn't really have to be a magical one. Did you go on mute? It sounded like you were saying something. So this is a little bit sad. I'm gonna have to eat this tomato tonight. It smells good. I carried it upstairs and it ripped. It's like so fresh. It tore a little bit. Hold on. Can you see it? Oh yeah.
I have cheese.
Well, don't cut it. Not in front of us. All right. Let me find a specimen. Should we try? Do you guys want to try some strawberries? Whoa, Connor, that looks great. You have a cheese board in your room? That's cool.
Yeah.
I used to have a cheese board collection.
We have a lot of cheese boards. We don't have a cheese board collection, but we have a lot of cheese boards.
Sounds like a collection to me.
Oh, on this cheese board, there's like this cool fish.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so this is what you should do. You ready?
Yes.
You know how you just drew the lemon? Let me do a little sketch over here. How can I think about this? All right, this is what I recommend you do for the rest of it. So your whole thing can work. You know, you have a big piece of paper. If you had this lemon right here, you could draw the edge of the cutting board like this. Hold on. So you put the edge of the cutting board here. And you could have, you know how it's got the stripes on it? Not the stripes, but like the planks. So whatever light source works with this. So I guess this would be in shadow here. And then it would throw a shadow onto the table. You could do the texture of the grain. You know, that fish, say this is, let me zoom out. I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too, if you know what I mean. So this could be your whole cutting board. Let the cutting board take up almost the entire paper. And then from here on out, you could even detail the fish here. So say the fish was like an S curving thing. It's got the tail, the body. Yeah, there's like that design in the cutting board. And now every other object that we do, like for example, we could do this strawberry, and we'll just like put the strawberry right here. So now you have this big piece of paper with, you know, a big cutting board with all these objects on it. I think that would look so awesome. And you know, ladies and Connor, I always talk about having like the third rule of Mitchell School. The first rule is you can't intentionally hurt anybody else's feelings. The second rule is that you have to be aware of your emotions and your, you know, how your vibe, your energy is affecting people. those are both kind of rules for the classroom. The third one is like maintaining artistic independence, which is huge in the sense that like you're going to get assignments from teachers that you're not going to like, or you're going to think are like stupid, or not, they're like not what you would want to be doing as an artist. But you have to you have to get good grades. Like sometimes you have to do things that seemingly are not like what you want, but if you maintain your artistic independence, then you can figure out a way to do both, you know. And so we're doing these direct observations over Zoom, and you know, this is where you have the Zoom images that we're drawing together, and then you have the cutting board, and then you could put the cheese on there as well. And so now you have this like, it's another portfolio piece to go along, and it's cohesive, it's comprehensive, and it checks all the boxes. Yeah, but I mean, but it's also a solution that I wasn't sure that we were going to be able to figure out, you know, at the beginning of this. Okay, go like that. I wonder how we could prop that up. Should put another berry underneath it. Oh, maybe a blackberry. So now I'm kind of getting into a little bit of a composition here. Oh my God. It's just so beautiful that I'm almost about to cry. Look how beautiful that is. And I haven't even introduced the coconut yet. Look at that coconut. Did you know coconuts look like that when you take the skin off of it?
What? How
Yeah.
did you get a coconut?
I just went to the grocery store at the,
They have
have it.
coconuts?
Yeah, they have coconuts, and this is the bottom of it. Look at it, it's designed on thirds. There's three, it's like a skull. It's like three fused plates. And then each plate has a dot. 1, 2, 3. Crazy, right? So this is it from seen from the side. Anyway, we might get into it. Let's do these berries. And then I have this avocado that I am like desperate to cut open. I've never drawn an avocado, you know, sliced in half. So that should give us enough. That should give us some time. Let's like do this one kind of quick. If that's a thing. If that is even a thing. I don't even think working too fast is not really a thing. Come on, focus on those berries. Yes. All right. Now this is a second sidebar thing. I'm going to turn on my flashlight so you guys can see a little more what the berries are doing.
We watch the berries in their wild habitat.
Yes, they're definitely okay. So maybe those maybe I'll strengthen the light from the main source. The blackberries get washed out so much. They're so, oh, there we
They're
go.
really cool once you get like really close to them with that flashlight, though.
Yes. So they're just like they're a bunch of balloons. They're like balloon bunches. So when I say balloon bunches, I mean like, say you were to draw a balloon, like a cliche balloon, and then you put the little reflection on it. Yeah, there's the string. Like that's what we got. It's each one of those dots has a balloon associated with it. So, you know, these bunches of balloons, you know, some balloons might be touching, but not overlapped. So those have the highlights, and then as you get to the edge, this balloon might be overlapped by this. And then you just keep adding highlights to them. So it's like a big balloon cluster. Now, I did want to show And this might be the time to do this too. Where's my knife there? Hopefully it's not too juicy. I wanted to slice it long ways so you could see what the inside looks like. That's amazing. So that internal structure will be what guides the external structure. So if you look at the inside, it looks like a candy corn. So basically think about a candy corn shape with balloons attached to the outside. That's what these berries are. So this is the wider end and it comes to a tip on that end. This is the one that I'm about to eat. Look how juicy it is. Ah, they're so sweet. The berries, these blackberries are so good. Okay. I think I have enough room to put the strawberry here. Blackberry, blackberry, blackberry. All right. I'm claiming in my own mind that I have room. I really hope I do. Trace these balloons. I'm close enough for you guys to see that, right? Okay. Let's rock it. We're gonna rock. I think this is where we need music. Anyway, I'm gonna start with the strawberry. The strawberry really is like a heart. This strawberry is a stretched heart. So I'll try to show you kind of what I mean. So I'm gonna start low down here. And this is where the first heart shape goes. So the stem obviously comes off of this part where these green leaves are. I'm not even worried about the green leaves. I'm worrying about the heart portion. So you start with the shoulder of the heart, and then it's going to wind back down into the tip. Now, this is where if you were doing a heart, you'd come in on the other side and come in and meet. But there's this flat bottom, which is what I mean. It's like a heart that's been like stretched wider, and it's upside down, which is annoying. But either way, we've got this shoulder on this side, rounded. You reach the widest point at that shoulder, and then it comes in towards the bottom. My little trick for sketching the strawberry is all of there's like a crisscrossing grid where all of the seeds meet. So I'm just gonna, this is the first criss to the cross. A lot of fruits grow this way. Pineapples have the same crisscross. These berries probably have the same ones too. Anyway, so there's this, all those lines, and then these are gonna cross over like this. And as long as they're evenly spaced. The strawberries can take a lot of they might require a lot of cleaning up, but this is how you can place, this is at least how you can place the seeds intelligently based on the actual design of the growth pattern of them. And just so we don't seem too out of whack, let's put in some of these green leaves, center stem, and they have kind of like a jagged outside, center stem, jagged. Maybe I might have made it a little too jagged, that's all right. And each part of each fruit is kind of like worthy of studying. It's worthy of seeing, and truly analyzing. I'm going to move my paper up a little bit for my sake, and I'm going to lay in our cast shadow. So at the moment, we only have 3 elements. We have the body of the fruit, we have the green leaves, and we have the cast shadow. Wonderful. And if you've got color, so much easier. The plant, the fruit does throw its shadow onto some of those leaves. So the darkest parts of this picture, the darkest part of this painting is the darkest object in the most amount of shadow. So think about the cast shadow. The paper is white, it's really light. So you think about the shadow, it's actually pretty light, the shadow, compared to other objects, because it's a white paper in shadow. It's like a light gray. The color of the leaves, those green leaves, those are the objects themselves, the green, are dark. And then you take a dark object and you put that, and you take light away from it, it becomes even darker. So our darkest parts of this picture are the green leaves. And in a way, they're almost the easiest. Because with graphite, graphite doesn't go that dark. So if you start with the darkest part, everything else has to be lighter than that. So squinting my eyes, I think the shadow color of the paper and the light part of the leaves are like almost the same value. Now they're completely different colors. Like the leaves are green. If you have your colors, it really helps. But the color, they're almost the exact same level of darkness. So I'm gonna really need line work instead of tone to separate my green leaves from the blue shadow. And you think about it, it makes sense. But when you have colors, you can use the color to distinguish between objects. When you're just using tone, like I'm doing with my pencil, you have to use something else. And in this case, I'm going to make the edge of the leaves very crisp and then make them dark. And then the leaves of the shadow, the edge of the shadow is going to be diffused, softer, but also dark. Wow. All right, I'm going to zoom in on one of these, on one of the seeds. So the seeds are almost like teardrops, or almost like miniature pumpkin seeds. And the light is coming from here, so they swell up, meaning they're rounded, and they're ovoid. So when the light hits it, it's going to be the bottom side and the right side that goes into shadow. And you can actually see that playing out in some of these. Now, the crisscross is in the middle of each one of those diamonds is where you get another seed. And then the bottom part of that seed is going to be darker than the top part. Typically, when you draw, if you were to do one of these drawings in color pencil, chalk, painting, whatever, the seeds generally are darker, like they're black. Like the fruit itself is red, bright red, and then the red goes into the shadow, and then it's got these brilliant white highlights. You can actually see those because the skin is so swollen and puffy, and it's so shiny and reflective, that whatever that light source is, it's reflecting off like a mirror. So the top of our heart looks like it's in shadow a little bit. So we can tone that. And then I think, yeah, I was gonna lighten up some of the tops here, but I'm gonna lighten up the edges of our strawberry. And then the tedious work begins of kind of implementing the seeds on the side. You will see the seeds in the silhouette. Not really in this one, but I've drawn them where you do see them. I'm wondering, you don't even look at these ones where I'm not even drawing the top half, I'm drawing the bottom, just the shadow part. That seems to be enough. Mhm. Looks kind of strawberry-esque. I feel like there should be more shade. Oh, I guess there is more shadow. Okay, these seeds up here, I'm just going to fill in the solid dots. And I think they do help make it feel like a shadow. Some of these seeds do look to the side. These ones look straight out at you. Some of these will be angled. So I feel bad now. Not only did I make us draw all these freaking seeds, but then I drew that we did the berry upside down. And whenever you draw anything upside down, it throws you for a loop. But I don't know. Look, it looks good. There's this incredibly dark base to this one. I guess there's just like a really dark, clear, dark separation between the red part of the berry and the shadow part of those green leaves. But this is important to observe this stuff, and it's important to practice trying to record it. And I was whenever I do these lessons, I'm like you're an art teacher and you're just gonna get a bunch of stuff from the kitchen and draw them. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's I to myself, I grumble. I'm like, I feel like I should be doing something more. And then I do it and I'm like, there's nothing more beautiful than a strawberry. And am I going to sit and sketch strawberries in my kitchen by myself? I mean, I guess I have done that, but not, I mean, I don't know if you guys are. So I guess being in a class environment will can normalize drawing fruit that's just like straight out of your kitchen. It's hard. You don't believe that it comes from nature in a way. I mean, you don't see it as the miracle that it is, but like you go out into the woods and you see a flower you've never seen before and you're like, whoa, like this is just as impressive. It just happens to be very accessible to us. Like, praise God. That does look like a seed. That doesn't look like looks like a watermelon seed. I might leave that on there if I can fit it. Okay, so I'm gonna loosely, I'm gonna almost use my X-ray vision. I'm gonna try and build. That's what I'm gonna do. Use my X-ray vision to build the candy corn. That's the candy corn. The bullet. It's like the bullet shape of the inside of that berry. I drop this down. And then I'm going to put, I'm going to start adding, these balloons. And honestly, the bigger the balloons, the less work you have to do. And it's not about getting out of doing work. It's like, it's really more about efficiency. I'm trying to observe. I am really observing. Wait a second. Hold on. Okay. Whew. I thought maybe Stacy was in purgatory waiting to get into the class, but she hasn't arrived. The reason I think these berries are going to go really fast is because the only thing we have to do is not shade the highlight. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just going to keep adding these balloons. And even that bullet shape in the middle, the candy corn shape that I made, even though the lines are still under there, I don't think it's going to matter. And I'll show you why. Because like I said, the only thing that we have to be aware of is not shading the highlight. Okay, so there's my berry. Here's my berry shadow. And then I'm just going to put, and I know the shape of my light is, it's twofold. It is a circular bulb and it's inside of a circular shade. So whatever highlight comes out of this, it's going to be round. So each balloon gets a circular highlight. I'm going to do it everywhere. I can tell that it's the highlights are bigger to the right, and then the berries, as they turn away from the light source, they don't have the same reflection. But almost all of them do. It's just these ones that are way towards the bottom down here that don't. So I'm going to start, because the deepest darks in this berry are going to be the cracks. So I'm basically going to start with outlining a balloon, and then I'm going to move into the highlight. Outline of the balloon into the highlight. That one didn't have a highlight. This one does. Outline the balloon into the highlight. Outline the balloon up into the highlight. Outline the balloon up into the highlight. I'm going to not say that for every single one of them, but it makes it so much easier to draw if you have established the balloon, which is just a round swelling. You define the silhouette and then protect the highlight. So by outlining it, you're already starting the shading. You're already anticipating the highlight. And are there more details that you could possibly get into in a painting with color variations of the deep purple to the warmer, lighter, almost raspberry red? Yes, there are other things. If you look at where I sliced it, you can actually see the inner core. It's almost like they're grapes. You know how grapes have a fleshy outside and then there's a seed in the middle most often? Each one of these berry bulbs is a seed. I mean, there's a seed inside being protected and being fed. So, yes, it's a berry that is a fruit, but each one of these is almost its own miniature fruit. So it's its own seed protection packet. And man, is it delicious. A very curious thing about these specific berries is that they were very tart when they were cold. I didn't like them. And then I laid them out, washed them, laid them out, and then then I ate them. And once they were room temperature, they were brilliantly, beautifully sweet. They're perfect. They taste so good. Okay, there's my cast shadow. Let me go fall back on my tortillion to blend out that shadow, have it be kind of a theme. And then I've got the shadow side of my pumpkin seed, sunflower seed, watermelon seed. And then the watermelon seed is a magnified version of the strawberry seed. So I'm not claiming that there's going to be a watermelon coming up. We don't have any watermelon, unfortunately. It's awesome.
We don't have any machetes either.
I can't cut it. Well, I do have this knife though. This is a nice one. Look at a little guy on there. I never noticed that. Looks like
Our knives have like the same little guy with like a spear.
Really? I think it says Henkel's, J.R. Henkel's International. Yeah, I didn't buy these. Kristen bought these. All right. I'm gonna do one more berry, and then I'm gonna switch fruits. I'm gonna do the sliced one though. Wow, look at that. There's this deep core. Look at that deep core, and then it blends out into a soft raspberry, and then it turns into like almost a white transparent grapey. It's great. So this is really good for my balloon theory. So I'm gonna make balloons that are not on a string. Part of the challenge is making each one of these balloons about the same size. I guess they're bigger along the bottom. I guess that makes sense too. So bigger berries on the bottom. You can make them overlap. Balloons. Very irregular highlights, because these are not the outside. This is like these are like sliced inside ones. So there's some like lighter, you know, the shape that I'm protecting inside the seed is actually the inner seed that you're seeing through the transparent flesh of the berry, the small berry. Some of these are highlights, you know, some of them have clear reflections on there. And then I can't forget about I just like, if you sketch the objects in with line work, then you can draw the shadow with line work, and then you can almost like skip over, and then, you know, not skip, but you switch your lens, you switch your framing into thinking about tones and shading rather than the size of the berry or the size of the balloon. You know, and I love this idea of dark edges and then, you know, blending in to a lighter center. Dark edges blending in, dark edge, blend in. You know, obviously with the occasional, you know, reflective skin, shiny, reflective mirror that is the unpunctured outside. And without too much effort, it's so interesting because like a lot of times if you were to draw a berry, somebody would like start copying the outline like I'm doing right here. See this like outline? It's not that you can't use the outline. Having a crisp silhouette edge is nice. It's just you want to build it from the internal structure out, so that, you know, when you do ultimately copy the silhouetted edge, it's not like you're not guessing. Each one of the balloons may be generalized, but it's accounted for. It's not just like a random curve into nothing. There's a big highlight right there. Wowzers. It's just so beautiful. And if you had color, it just brings you know, a whole nother dimension. I'll lay my pigment down on the table, and then I'm going to blend it out. A nice, soft, diffused edge shadow. That the shadow is definitely lighter than the object because these berries are so dark. Deep, rich, transparent fruit. And this is where it looks awkward because pencil doesn't go that dark. Pencil doesn't go dark enough that is required to like really celebrate the color of those berries. Oh my God. I forgot about the blueberry. I'm gonna move it into the light. It just creates such contrast. Maybe if I lit it from further away, it wouldn't create such contrast. That's really nice. Look at it now. Look at that. I'm looking at the blueberry, that is. It's not so bad. Okay, come back into focus. How'd y'all do on this one? I think we should show. Let's show, and then we'll get one more. We'll get one more. We'll at least start the avocado.
I don't like mine.
Really?
I feel like they're too far apart.
Hold on, let me pin you. Move it to your left, I think. Too far apart. What do you mean?
I mean, no, the little balloons are too small and there's too many.
Yeah, could be true, but it almost doesn't matter because they're not going to have the actual. No one's going to have the actual berry. So if you add more, just throughout the composition, just keep them consistent. All right, Miss Foley, Julia, are you guys ready? I meant Kaya. All right, you are now pinned. Miss Foley is pinned. Sick. I like to do you do the marker first and then the pencil?
Yes.
Cool. Thanks for going. So thanks for playing along. Kaya, how are you doing? I'm gonna replace you with the pin.
Horrible.
Sad face. And it'd be great if I believed you, but I don't.
You should.
I've heard that before.
Okay.
Oh, dude, that's not horrible. Are you serious? The greens are amazing. You just haven't finished the seeds yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love everybody's style. It's so good. It was like when you're an art teacher and you have your students like all have the freedom to be themselves, like stylistically. It's just so refreshing. All three of you, definitively do this. Screen share.
I feel like I kind of messed up because on the strawberry, I'm going to have to eventually redo the shadow because the lemon shadow is going in the opposite direction.
Because you moved the paper.
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, watch this. I mean, there is such thing in the same composition, and this is what artists do for like really advanced compositions, where there's like 20 different people. You can have multiple light sources going on at the same time, and people do this for television, and you can have one spotlight for the lemon, and then you can have another spotlight for the strawberry, and then another spotlight for the avocado. Like it is a thing where you have different ones. So does it achieve unity to have the light source hitting the objects, almost like all the objects having the same light source? It does create unity, but it's not a be all or end all. Like that it might not, all different objects might look better in different light. And so the photographer or the still life painter will manipulate and move the light within a single image. So don't panic that hard. See, the problem is this, the spinach just doesn't make any sense. All right, I'm gonna eat this one. And the question is, does the avocado make sense, or would it be better for us to draw an apple? Should we draw an apple instead?
I'm on the blueberry.
Okay, that's good. I'll leave the blueberry.
It's hard because the blueberry, it's like so dark, but then it has a lot of shadow, like at the same time.
No, I wish I could help you on that.
Whoa.
See, once it's in focus, it takes on. Can you see the two different light sources? You see how there's a dark blue shadow below it, and then there's like a long warm shadow to the right.
Yeah.
You guys see that, right? Yeah, that the long shadow that's directly to the left, that's from the window, and the cool shadows from the artificial light. The artificial light is stronger, and you can actually see it in the blueberry itself. You see the blue dot on the far right, and there's that bold highlight. That is my window, and then the soft warm one on the top, on the center top, that's the artificial one. I mean, that's just so beautiful. It's kind of like, and it's ironic because the moonlight is so much cooler than the sunlight, but the sunlight is still naturally cooler, certainly than actual fire. Like candles or like fluorescent incandescent bulbs. All right, we got 10 minutes. I'm obsessed with my drawing. I think it looks so good. Look how nice that drawing is. We've only been drawing for like an hour and a half, and it looks like it's out of a looks real. Okay, that's gonna go there. Okay, everyone draw the apple on your mark, get set, go. Just kidding. I just want to show you this one thing. So from your guys' perspective, if I were to cut this apple in half on the long way, do you see how, from your perspective, the stem is not in the middle? Your whole experience tells you that it's in the middle, but it's the left of center, okay? And then if you come across the exact center here on the horizontal, it's the lower left-hand quadrant. So as we draw, this the apple, you're seeing more on the right, and you're seeing less on the left. So I'll show you what I'm. Oh man, I got water everywhere. Tissues are always at hand. That water has been there for a while. I don't see it. All right. Please pray that I have enough room. So I'm starting with a circle. Starting with a circle, and then I'm going to add the side of the apple. That's going to lead us into this base. Very interesting, perspective. When I broke that apple in half this way and this way, creating the crosshairs, I know that my stem is in this lower left-hand corner, and it is shooting out like it's a cylinder. You can see the top is a cylinder, and it's a tube going down into this pit. Now, of course, the light is coming from our left or our right. So it's going to be, the left side is going to be in shadow, the right side is going to be in light. So where's the light? Well, we got a highlight up here. We got a highlight up here. What I just talked about with the blueberry, the blue light right here is the window. The warm light is the light source. The window is so faint that it doesn't throw a shadow. We know that it does throw a shadow. It's very hard to see. So the inner rim, this little, this hole, this gaping hole inside the apple, this is going to be the source of the growth of the skin. So you want to think about it almost like a fountain. So you can use as a lead, you can use our shadow, the cast shadow from the stem. It's coming up, helping to describe the roundness. The top of the apple, I know apples are so healthy, but they are almost like donuts. So if you watch the skin and the pattern on the skin kind of grow out of this hole that's in the middle, it makes a basically a cylindrical form, which is the same kind of inner tube shape of a donut. And then it has a longer extension. The body comes down into like a base. So those will come out and then down and then down. So these are called contour lines, and you can see the speckles. When I made the gridding, the crisscross on the strawberry, those were the placement of those little of the seeds. Now the seeds are inside, but the skin still has these little white highlights that grow and shoot out almost like droplets of water from a fountain. And they're all along the string. So if I draw this line describing the shape or the growth of the skin, you can use that contour line to help place some of these, these pock marks. They look like little splashes. So they go around this way. And then, of course, they go long ways like I've been talking about. Now, I wasn't playing with fire, but I took a big leap of faith that I was going to have enough room. So if you follow the silhouetted edge of the apple 360 degrees, you will be able to then see where the cast shadow comes out. If this is like 9 o'clock on this side, you come down to like 8:30. Come 9 o'clock's here, come down a little bit. That's where the cast shadow is here. The right side, call it 3 o'clock, maybe drop down to 4 o'clock. That's where the cast shadow is going to hit that silhouette. And boy, does it ever make a beautiful form, that the shadow that's being thrown onto the tabletop. It's pretty spectacular. It's just a nice transition edge. It's just like, it's like, I feel like it's like the ultimate in curve. I'm trying to lay some pigment in so I can then smooth out the diffused shadow. I may have to wait for my paper to dry. It looks like I'm erasing, but I'm not. There's little beads of wet paper that are coming up. I'm really damaging it. I should stop. That's just kind of a fun, like a fun history of the drawing. So I made the sprout of the fountain springing forth from the center. And I also did these, these circles around it, almost creating a grid. That grid is very helpful in, deciding where shadow goes and in what direction to lay the shadow. So in here, the shadow on the inside, I can draw like the spout. And then as it comes up, it gets lighter, and then it comes down the side. And so then it gets shaded down that side. So if I follow the form of the apple, I can remove lights, remove the lines as appropriate. And I can also shade the lines that are appropriate. When I say appropriate, I just mean they're part of the, the form of that original grid that we used to sketch the apple.
Trevor, I don't know if this is for everyone's apple, but your apple and my apple both look like they're laying on their sides.
Yeah, like this is a tabletop here.
Yeah, but your apple is like sitting straight up, but the drawing one looks like it's laying on its side.
Oh wow. It does. It's like, it's definitely a little bit of a, yeah, I wonder if I should curve this out a little bit more. Maybe I give it too much of a side. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with it. And because I'm so far along, and I'm wondering if it's a perception or if it's a mistake. Is it just how it's gonna look? Yeah, it does. It's like it's in an unnatural. It's in an unnatural. It almost looks like it's like rolling, or it's like it's falling over. If you compare it to the lemon, this looks like it's like not standing up and it's not laying down. It's like mid fall. I can't believe how my pencil does not respond to wet paper. I mean, this all this action that's going on here is from that drop. I don't even know where it came from. What did I have up here that was
The
wet?
exact same thing happened to me. My whole thing, I've been trying to fix it, but my whole thing just wants to look like it's falling over.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody asks you, say, yeah, it's falling over. I like to create motion in my art. No, if anybody asks, yeah, you're just like, yeah, I drew it from up above, and it takes it. Yeah, it's almost like you really do want to get movement. Sometimes it happens on purpose, and sometimes it happens by accident. All of these grid marks, the only problem with laying those grid marks in is that they have to be either diffused or erased. And if you lay it in too dark, it's really hard to diffuse them. Let me take that back. It is not hard to diffuse them. You just have to diffuse them. You have to do that. And then you can force the issue a little bit more by adding some of these highlights, by removing. Put some of these speckles in here. Do I have any other apple? No, I took a green apple. We had these other apples that really had like really clearly obvious striations. By me putting in this grid mark, just because this green apple doesn't really have the stripes on them, most apples do. I'm just remembering that. So if I remove this apple, you got to get to a point where your drawing appears to be an apple, regardless of what we were just looking at. Some of that could be the edges. You're having a smooth, crisp edge, making the edge really feel like that smooth skin of an apple. It's taut. I'm just gonna put the apple back so you guys can see it, but I'm trying to understand too where, I use this line all the way up here and it's really dark, just like the original, the original lemon. Seems like a lifetime ago that we drew the lemon. A lighter line was better because it's facing the light. So it's easing the contrast. Whereas down here, I could, really be aggressive with my shadow down there. And now I might go back to my attempt at smoothing out my shadow. I really have to wait for it to dry. It's getting worse and worse. You guys got anything good for dinner coming up? Any of you all vegetarians? If you're a vegetarian, I probably won't tell you what I'm eating for dinner. Yeah, this is some worthwhile creation.
Why did you draw a tiny lemon next to your big lemon?
Why did I?
Yeah, I just realized that.
I was trying. I was attempting to draw a.
Did you just draw it, or was it there the whole time?
It was there the whole time. I was
Oh,
trying to demo like what a caricature of a lemon would be, rather than an observational drawing of a lemon. But I think it looks hilarious, just a small lemon.
Yeah. It looks like a Cyclops eye. It looks like just an eyeball, like there,
Yes.
because it's got the sticker. The sticker looks like the iris or the pupil,
All right, now it's freaking me out.
or the iris and the pupil.
Yeah, it looks like an alligator eye.
You're just cutting all this fruit and you're cutting an eyeball with it.
Oh god.
Just chopping up a random alligator eye.
I mean, you can buy cow eyeballs at some butcher. And I don't know what I don't know what they do with them.
What do you even?
I think you can eat them. I think you can eat them.
I know you can eat fish eyes, and I know people think fish eyes are good, but I've never heard of cow eyes.
I've seen them. I've seen them like in the deli case.
That's weird.
So, but the fact that you have that, I'm going to stop the share here in a second. Where I sketched this decorative element of the fish, I think you should put it in there because it'll make like a nice, it'll create kind of a situation where it's got like a human design element rather than just observation, just fruit. This is what I got. If I were to use this entire paper, I could put the avocado maybe over here. That might be nice. Maybe I could put the avocado and the tomato. Because those are kind of more veggies. And then I could put some of the spinach leaves as well. So you have like a fruit area and then a veggie area. And then I could put maybe this is where the knife could go. I don't know. You can just keep filling stuff in, as you see fit.
I have a really
Where's
nice.
Stacy? I wish she was here. Stacy missed morning class too. What's that, Donna?
I was gonna say I have a really nice knife that one of my friends' dads made. He like has a shop where he makes a bunch of knives. And he gives us a knife, and I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna draw it next to the thing. I'll show it to you.
Yeah. Did you put cheese? Did you draw the cheese in your piece?
I will. I haven't yet though.
Okay. I'm gonna stop to share. Ladies, you want to show me what you got? Connor, you go get your knife. Stop share. All right. Julia, you are pinned. Oh, nice apple. Very nice apple. What have you been up to? Have you been drawing other stuff?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any requests, by the way?
Cars.
Kaya, how about you? Do you have any requests / can we see your apple?
No, I don't have any requests, but I erased the apple, right?
Connor, that thing is ridiculous. Hold on, let me just see Kaya's thing, and then I will.
Okay.
We'll look at your knife with the proper.
So the apple's not there, but you can see like what's left over of the apple.
It's more of a conceptual apple.
Yeah. Can you see it? It's like really big.
Yeah. Oh, did you erase it or something?
I erased it.
Okay. No, that's fine. Sometimes you need to start over. I never really make my kids start over because I had a teacher that was borderline abusive. He'd be like, no, that's wrong. You have to start over. No, start over. No, start over. And like, you'd never like actually finish anything because he was like, that's not good enough. It's like he forced you to have high standards, which has its benefits. But so I don't push starting over very often. Sometimes you do need to start again and not feel bad about it. I just did it so many times that I'm like, oh God, I'm not starting over ever again. So the pendulum swings. So I encourage you to, take it back to 0 if you need sometimes. Just don't make a habit of it. Does that make sense? Connor, that knife is so cool. Yeah, you're gonna have to. I'm trying to figure out how you would get it in there. I guess you maybe just crop it off, do part of it. How big is your drawing?
I've got some space off to like.
Oh yeah, you got room. You got more room.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of space like off to the right of my cutting board.
Yeah, man. Do you feel like you have it? Do you feel like you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Yeah, show the edge. Yeah, that's got a really thick back edge and a narrow front edge.
Yeah.
What is that for? Is that for like chopping up fish or something?
We mostly use it for chopping up like harder vegetables and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe a cucumber or a onion or something like that.
Yeah. Nice. No, that thing's cool. That is definitely a work of art, that knife. Okay, people, that was super fun. Connor, I don't know when am I going to see you, or if you're coming tomorrow. Are we doing something tomorrow?
We might. We'll have to see.
Okay, yeah, we'll figure it out. Good work. Just call me if you need anything. Ladies, that was always a pleasure. I will see you all next week. Oh yeah, and tell your friends. Tell your friends if you know anybody that would like to join. And then also anticipate a couple extra people joining. It's been fun being small, but we might have to. I might have to make some money on this class. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.